Attention, everyone. Right, we're going to get serious now. So before I introduce Jodi, I'd just like to say a couple of things about Jodi. And I'd like to really acknowledge Jodi's passion and dedication to the Feng Shui industry over a long period of time. And a lot of you people don't realise, or you may not realise, how much work Jodi does for the association. And all I can say is I'm glad she's the president and not me. Because she's a tireless worker, and you get emails from her that are like 2 a.m. in the morning. Go to bed, Jodi, get alive. But her commitment to Feng Shui and the years of study and all the travel overseas is a model for all of us to follow. Okay, so I'd just like to acknowledge Jodi's work and her dedication and passion to the subject and to our association and to the industry. So thank you for your commitment, Jodi.
I don't mind the travel part, that's good.
So I don't know too much about Jodi's curriculum vitae besides the fact that she's been awarded the title Master of Feng Shui, created the Feng Shui Network, is the president of our association, has her Feng Shui Cures and Crystals shop, has promoted Feng Shui tours to China, the Feng Shui tours in Melbourne. What else have you done, Jodi? Is there anything else you want me to add?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. So now Jodi's going to be speaking this morning on the water methods, the water formulas. So water is responsible for wealth in Feng Shui. So the water formulas are highly sought after by Feng Shui practitioners, and there's 1,000,001 of them. And they can be very confusing to know which works and which doesn't work. So Jodi will be able to illuminate us this morning as to the many and varied water techniques. Without any further ado, Jodi Brunner.
Thank you. Thanks, George. Actually, keep that one, and I've got a radio mic. Okay, so my topic today is about the Feng Shui water dragon, and there's many different Feng Shui formulas. I'm not going to go through them all, and some of them work, some of them actually don't work. And the way that I learnt about the water methods was by attending Master Yu's course, Master Joseph Yu's course. The first time was in Toronto, and then the second time was in Melbourne. And after we'd learnt maybe 26 formulas and much brain strain, I must say, over a period of 4 days. We went through all the different formulas, and Master Yu's a mathematician, so he really does put everything into a mathematical perspective and a scientific perspective. And so you've got to use your brain a lot, and I find that whenever I go and study with Master Yu, I feel like the synapses in my brain have expanded, and I can actually think more and think clearly, besides the red, blurry eyes after about 4 days. So it might be hard to keep up with it all. So we all have our different ways of studying and of learning. And one of the things I do when I learn is I take a recording, and then I go back to my office and I retype everything that that's on the recording, all the words. And that's my way. I'm kinesthetic. So that's my way of learning, is by retyping it all and reading through it all again. When we learnt the 26 different formulas, at the end of the course, we heard Master Zhang's water method song. And the water method song basically talks about all the many different formulas, and basically that the most simple ones are actually the ones that are the best. All the complicated formulas it's not that they're no good. Some are good and some aren't good. That's the purpose of learning, say, the water methods, because we actually learnt how to tell what is a good formula and what is not a good formula. Because some of the formulas work, and some of them you think about it and you think, well, that doesn't seem to make sense. There's something that's not working here. And I can make a parallel to some of the 8-house formulas, but I don't want to offend anyone who's using 8-house school. But that's just from my perspective anyway. Actually, I skipped one slide, that's right. There was a slide of me in a pram. I don't think you need to see that. The reason why I was showing the slide of me in the pram is because I just wanted to show you that when we grow up, when we're young, when we're living in our family home, that helps to develop our character and our personality. And the family home that I grew up in was a Xian Shui period 5 house. So, which meant that it was mountain at the back, water at the front, period 5. So in period 5, it was a very, very good house. My grandfather built the house. And then in 1964, of course, when we went into period 6, the house became out of time again. So it became an untimely period 5 house. And I always wondered when we were growing up, how come we always go 2 steps forward and 1 step back in this house? And so years later, when I learnt about Feng Shui, I learnt why that was, because when we bring the water star 5 into the house, there's a lot of ups and downs that occur in the house. Now, I'm a Mingguai 5 person, so I sort of managed to cope with that a bit. But if you ask my sister, she'll say that I was a tyrant. Maybe I still am, I don't know. Okay, so our topic is about mountains and water. That's what Feng Shui is all about. And I like to break it down into some simple language, and so we can go through to some more complicated things as we're going along. So mountains and water. This is Queenstown. Has anyone ever been to Queenstown? Yeah. So you recognise that? Yeah. Mountains and water. A beautiful spot to go. Yeah. So when we talk about mountains and water, we understand about the principles of the 4 animals, and we all have learnt about the 4 animals. In Chinese, it's called Xi Ling. And these 4 animals, when we're allocating or when we're looking at any site, we're allocating the 4 animals to any site. It's not necessarily a formula on its own, but it's a way of us to say, oh, when we're looking at a site, what's on the dragon side, what's on the tiger side, what's on the turtle side, what's on the red phoenix side, what is there? The topic of our talk today is really about, for the whole weekend, is about water, but of course mountains are important as well. And when we talk about the 4 animals, and George touched on it yesterday too, the red phoenix is the location at the front, and also Gail mentioned it as well. The ideal or the perfect Feng Shui setting has a mountain at the back and a small hill at the front, and that's like what do you call it? A node, the table mountain, yeah, something to help to hold the qi on the site as well. So a lot of our cities are on the coast, and there are some locations that are much better Feng Shui than others because they have a small island out on the coast. So I spotted that one on Byron Bay, and I haven't been there myself, but I think, and you've seen that the small island, and I would consider that to be the red phoenix. Just from looking at Google Earth, I've seen 2 places that I spotted a small island there. Yeah. So when we look at that, we can consider that would be the location of the red phoenix. So.
Mount Warning, which is the ancestor mountain, and comes all the way down to that headland, dips into the water and comes back up and looks back.
So it's like a little dragon, the baby dragon, the son of the ancestor, which we always call the tallest mountain in any region, is what we call the ancestor mountain. That's the biggest, the tallest one. And so you look at the ancestor mountain and watch how the lines of qi, or the dragon's back, how it comes down towards the ocean. So in this case, we have one that's dipping into the water and then coming up in the bay there. If that wasn't there, it would be just open. Right? Open to the ocean. So the Feng Shui wouldn't be as good as what it is. Of course we have, the dragon side, the tiger side setting here, of course, with we say the tiger arm. Gail showed a diagram of that yesterday, how the tiger arm comes out, or sometimes we have the dragon arm coming out, that sort of thing. So mountains and water, that's our study. Here's another example, Palm Cove, which I've been to for a little holiday once. And we can see here another island. So we have a little island off the coast. And although the main bulk of Palm Cove here, I think what happened is that the Gulf and country club has actually procured the ideal spot for their own exclusive use. And then you see the 12 animals come into their positions, and the phoenix is actually sort of opposite the country club, so they get the nice spot. Yeah. So you might see other places like that up and down the coast somewhere, I was trying to think of other places. I couldn't think of anything else. Early Beach, yeah? Double Bay. Oh, yeah. Someone did mention Double Bay too, but I ran out of time. I thought two's enough. That's part of our research. Go and look for some places and show what is a good feng shui location. It's always interesting when you're doing a talk. So the idea of mountains and water, we've talked about, mountain at the back, water at the front. And we know that timeliness is important too. And we know that we're in period 8 now. And in period 8, we say that the mountain should be in the northeast and the water should be in the southwest. So have you heard of that before? Mountain in the northeast, water in the southwest. If you've learned feng shui from the ground up, then you would probably have learnt this technique. We say that the mountain is called the xian, and it's the same word as what George was using yesterday, but he's talking from the Shuangkong Dagua perspective. The mountain is called the xian, and the water is called the lingxian. So this is the basic idea of xian and lingxian. As we go, we progress in our knowledge. So mountain is a xian in the northeast and water in the southwest. So this is the ideal location. And there are a couple of places in the world that have that. One of those is Melbourne, in fact, and I think I do have a slide for that, which I'll show you in a minute. But if you're not sure of where the theory comes from, this is our basic lo shu, and in the basic lo shu we have the number 5 in the centre, and then we have number 8, of course, in the northeast. So we say that the chi of the number 8, because number 8 is the ruling star at this period of time, so the chi of number 8 is the prominent chi for this 20-year cycle. So therefore, we look on the lo shu and we see where the number 8 is, and that is the mountain dragon breathing its chi onto the site. So ideally, if we have a mountain in the northeast, we have the chi supporting us of the mountain star 8 behind us. Well, we don't really call it the mountain star 8, we call it the xian, which is the Holy One, or the xian. And then to calculate why we use the lingxian, well, we always say mountain and water. So mountain is in the northeast. Well, then logically water should be in the southwest. But there is another reason why water should be in the southwest too, because if we look at a period 8 chart, we see that the number 5 is in the southwest. So number 5 being in the southwest is the chi that we don't really want to bring to the side. That's the chi of the number 5. So therefore, if we have water in the southwest, if we go back to Guapo's famous saying that water, that the chi accumulates at the boundary of water. So therefore, if we have water in the southwest, it means that chi coming from the southwest direction towards the site is stopped at the boundary of water. So basically, it's stopped. The water accumulates it or stops it at that point. So it doesn't reach the site. So we have the chi of the northwest, the mountain star 8 coming to the site, and then the water star 5 is not coming to the site. But we don't use the terms mountain and water really. We just say the star 8 or the star 5 in this case. The star can be referred to anything. You can call a mountain a star. You can call a lake a star. It's a generic term in Chinese, apparently. Okay. So here we have Melbourne then, and Tyler showed Melbourne yesterday, and we see that Melbourne has mountains in the northeast and water in the southwest, making us a very good feng shui place in this period of time. And in fact, even in the city where we are now, the city is oriented on a northeast-southwest angle. So, and in the did I say northeast? Yeah, northeast of the city we have a hill. And then southwest we also have another hill. So the ideal spot, like in the city of Melbourne, is between Spring Street at the top of the hill down to Swanson or Elizabeth Street. Then when you start to go back up the other side, that's not ideal, is it? Because you're going up a mountain again. So this section of the city between Elizabeth Street and Spring Street is actually the most auspicious, you can say, for period 8. And, well, It usually always is, even though we can say that Docklands has, when you get to the top of the hill, you're going up towards the west, the southwest, you get to the top of the hill and you can oversee Docklands there. From there down to Docklands is also another mountain and water configuration. Mountain in the northeast and then Docklands is in the southwest, virtually. All right, so then we talk about rivers. Well, rivers are a type of water as well. Well, it's a natural type of water. And then we have something like any type of river that flows. Anywhere that water is flowing is somewhere that we have to pay attention to when we're looking from a Feng Shui perspective. So whether it's in summer or whether it's in winter, water can still flow. Of course, if you have a river and it's completely covered by snow in winter, then the qi will be very minimal, it will minimise. So it depends on, that's when we also, I suppose, take seasons into consideration. And I was contemplating that question that I asked on Friday. How do we incorporate the seasons in Feng Shui? Well, we certainly do. And then when we have a road is also considered a river as well. But if the road is always a dry road, and if it's a very quiet road, then the qi of the road is not very strong. Although we can say that a road is also an open space too. So any sort of open space is yang, and a road we consider as yang. But when it's rained or when there's a lot of rain around, we get a lot of more qi happening there, especially when the water is flowing down the road. But we had 10 years of drought, so really we had a lot of times when we didn't have much qi on our roads, except for the cars. So even when the cars are coming and going, you get a lot of qi happening. And I think it was Tyler mentioned the cul-de-sac yesterday. Well, cul-de-sac may not have a lot of qi, but it depends on how many people come and go from that cul-de-sac, how many people are living in that area, how busy is the traffic. You can have a cul-de-sac where there's a lot of families living in that area, and so there's a lot of kids outside playing, playing around in the street and playing footy every day. It doesn't have to be cars necessarily that create yang qi, but just even an open space is yang qi, and that helps to accumulate the qi. Yeah. And then, well, any type of external water feature will, of course, generate a lot of yang qi. And when we design external water features, we know it's no good to have water flowing away from the site. So I like this one in particular. The water is flowing inwards. It's retaining at the water feature, so it's not flowing away. Alternatively, we want to have water flowing towards the door. That's the ideal. Have water flow towards the door. And then when we have our other types of external water features, as long as they are beautiful, then they're also good Feng Shui. We don't like ugly water, and I'll show you an example of that in a moment. So beautiful water. This water is also beautiful, but it's a little bit too still. That's why even if you have fish swimming in the water, they help to circulate the water and make it move. You can say, well, this is not stagnant, because as the wind blows, it's going to make the surface of the water move. So the water is not completely stagnant. But if we have stagnant water, then it's no good, because the qi is stagnant. And when we have water, we want the qi of water. And we can also have some pets or local wildlife that likes to make use of our dirty swimming pool, as in the case of one of my clients. So a couple of ducks made themselves at home. I've seen that quite a bit. Any sort of wildlife doesn't have to be fish in the pond. It can be things swimming around. But when you have fish in the pond, it's a very beautiful thing. Of course, we're not allowed to have. Well, there are some places where you can have these type of koi in Australia, because they're a very aggressive fish and they'll eat all the other fish in the rivers. If we let them go there, so they're only allowed in Australia under restricted use. And then when you have internal water features, the thing about an internal water feature is that we need to be able to see the water, and we should see a lot of surface area of water. So this type of water feature is quite good. It may not be very deep, but there's quite a bit of surface area of water. So the water is dancing around. If the water is dancing around, it's more effective as a water feature. But of course, you know, the other thing about a water feature is that if you never go there, the reason why we put a water feature in a house is because we want to activate the qi in that area. And a water feature can do that quite a lot. But if you never go to that area of the house, if you never use that area of the house, you have to say to the client, go to that area of the house, spend some time there, do some things there, use up the qi in that area. Otherwise, just putting a water feature there is not enough. And with a fish tank, the usual thing that we do is we cover it with glass. Ideally, it's best if the fish tank is left open. And this can mean that, the fish can jump out, the cats can get at them. You know. In fact, we have a fish tank that we have put a light on. And my fish don't like the light. Every time I turn the fish on, they cringe and they go to the bottom of the tank. You know, they really don't like it. So you get to learn their personalities as well. So that's a bit of fun. They have personality. I talk to them. You just don't name them, you know, because naming them can be dangerous because they can, you know, drop off their perch after that. You know. So this is the water feature that I put in for the Xian Spa at the Langham Hotel, and that was one job that I did that was very successful. Part of it was because of what I recommended, but also, you know, you can be lucky with a client, and if you find that a client already has a good Feng Shui setting, and then they ask you to come in and do the Feng Shui for them. Yeah, that's a great job because they've already got, like they already had southwest, northeast orientation of their building and of the actual spa. So when I went in there to do the Feng Shui, half of it was already done for me. All I had to do was recommend the right things in the right places. As it was, they put the water feature in the right place, they put the entrance in the right place. They did put a big red wall on the mountain star too, which I didn't tell them to do. So, you know, we can't always expect that our clients are going to follow everything that we say, but we can try and see what happens. You know. They have had a few awards, so I think that people like it. All right, now here is a water feature in Hong Kong. And this is just going to loop, so it looks a bit strange. So it's actually a very interesting water feature. This is in a place called Elements Mall in Hong Kong. And it's a mall all designed around the 5 elements. And as you walk through the mall, different areas of the mall have fire or earth or metal, water, or wood. So this, I'm pretty sure this must be the metal area. I'm just trying to recall. But these metal pillars have water flowing down them. So you see the very tall, thin parts here. They have water flowing down and onto the metal ball, which then floats down underneath. So you have a lot of surface area of water. I thought it was a rather unusual, strange looking thing. Especially because you have, well, if you look at it, you have water, wood, metal, water and wood. So the strongest feature here is actually the wood, even though you see these poles are made of metal, but they're the shape of wood. So you have water, metal feeding water, water feeding wood, and then wood being nurtured by water once again. So I would have put this into the wood area of the mall, not the metal or the water area, because that's the dominant feature. But this is why you know, different ideas come through from our knowledge and our understanding and our subjective interpretation of Feng Shui, and that's why you can have different people doing the same job and getting a different result. Yeah. All right, so then we have water flowing away. This is a little house in Bali that was run as a business, and as I was walking past, I saw a sign there saying closed. So you can see water flowing away. Steep stairs going away from your door is not a good thing, and we can say it's virtual water flowing away. And the same thing here with this is the Grand Hyatt. I was called into the Grand Hyatt. They weren't doing very well, and the first thing, there was certain limitations. They wanted me to do some work for them on their new redevelopment of their function area. And I said, how far down the track are you? And they said, well, we've already done the plans and everything. We just need you to have a look at it and improve the Feng Shui. And I said, I'm not going to have a look. You know, you've already gone too far for me to do any work. But I'll tell you that that I'll give you some free advice that your escalator is coming up and down the wrong way. I said, hey, what do you mean? I said, well, when you look at these two escalators, we have one, this one was going up, the one on the left-hand side, and the one on the right-hand side was coming down. And then you have water also flowing down, flowing away. Upstairs is the reception area. And opposite this escalator here, which is the right-hand escalator, was the door to the hotel. And so it's like water flowing away, straight out the door. So my suggestion was, instead of, which was a fairly easy one to do, was to change it so that this escalator goes up and this escalator comes down. So just change the direction of the escalators, trying to bring people up instead of away, you know, because there was nothing else that they could do really to redesign that. And they didn't have enough understanding or belief in Feng Shui to do that. But they actually did change the escalators and it did improve their business quite a bit. Had they done other things, maybe it would be improved even more. So water pouring on your head too. You have water coming and pouring straight down on your head. That's not a good Feng Shui thing either. I mean, of course, it's just not good design anyway. You try and walk in your front door and it's raining and water pours on your head. That's just crazy. But it's called water pouring on your head. Dirty water. Well, dirty water or stagnant water, well, of course, water should be clean. And I know that for a fact it's very hard to keep the fish tank clean, especially when I'm busy. So dirty water is another water we try to avoid, and so is dangerous water. We try to avoid that too. All right, so the proximity to water is important as well. And if we're living in a high-rise apartment, the higher up we go, the less impact the water will actually have because it's at ground level. So if there's an intersection and there's a lot of qi happening, but you're up on the 50th floor, it may not have as much impact as what it would if you're in the first 10 floors, for instance, depending on how busy the intersection is. So even though the Water Dragon Classic does not classify water into 5 types of water, I like to classify into the 5 types of water. So this is my own interpretation, because I like to, compartmentalise things to a certain extent. So these are the 5 types of water. And you will see that there's some similarities. If you've ever seen any diagrams from the Water Dragon Classic, you can see that there's some similarities to this. So first of all, we have fire water. Now, fire water, from the Water Dragon Classic, we have this picture of a road coming down and then turning at a 90-degree angle and the house facing the road. Now, how unlikely is that to happen? I've never seen a situation like this in reality. So we say, well, apparently there's thousands of pictures in the Water Dragon Classic, but how many of them are actually useful? How many of them in reality can we actually find? Probably quite a few, but not all those thousands. So this sort of situation is unlikely. However, this type of situation may be more frequent, and I actually did find one like this. So this is Ocean Park, a beautiful apartment complex built in a triangular shape, which is already not very good Feng Shui design. But, they had the space and they wanted to build it there. And it's on Nepean Highway. The traffic is flowing in this direction. And we also have New Street here on the corner, also flowing in that way. So we have 2 roads coming together at the facing of the building and then flowing away. That is a very bad Feng Shui configuration. And when my client asked me if she should buy this apartment on the corner, I said, definitely no, don't buy it, please. Even though it was just up the road from her office. She ended up not buying it because the builder just changed their mind and decided that they wanted it, and within 2 years they'd gone bankrupt. So, we don't like water flowing or coming together and flowing away from the site. So 5 types of water. Here we have earth water. Now, earth is always a square shape, so earth water is like a square shape of water, and you get the more you can understand more when you look at Google Earth. You see a lot of square shape, especially in Melbourne. I think one of the reasons why Melbourne is such a livable city is because it's built in a very square, linear pattern. And when it's built in a linear pattern like that, it means that everybody, there's some samenesses that occur because you have a number of houses along a street and just say they're all built at the same time. They may be different floor plans, but they're all built in the same period of time. Then there's the same chart that people get. So there's some familiarity that we have with our neighbours. If we have a city that's old and there's a lot of curvy roads, like Sydney, there's a lot of curvy roads in Sydney because they have a lot of hills. So therefore, a lot of houses are facing on different angles. So there's a lot more differences between one neighbour and another as to what their feng shui can be like. So when it's like that, it means that there's not as much similarities, not as much familiarity that you have with your neighbours. So we're in Sydney, for instance, whereas in Melbourne, we can say we're very livable. Maybe it's because we have more in common with each other that we can share. That's one theory that I have. So 5 types of water. Now, Tyler yesterday was saying that metal water is always good, but it depends on which side of the metal that you're on. But generally, according to the Water Dragon Classic, it can say metal water is good. But if you're on the inside of the metal water, this is the more ideal position than being on the outside of the metal water. That is what we learn in Feng Shui anyway. Now, we know that when we study Feng Shui, we have to be flexible, and the rules sometimes are bendable. And so therefore, when we see something like this, now this is in Singapore, this is the river in Singapore, and this is the main CBD area. And the reason why I show this shot is because the first time I did this presentation was in Singapore, so I brought this up as one of the cases that I want to show. But the governor's mansion was here, so he put himself into a good Feng Shui position. But then we see the CBD has grown up outside of that bow. And we think, well, how come? This is bad Feng Shui. Well, human effort can overcome bad Feng Shui. And it could well be that, because I'm just speculating here, but it could well be that the buildings at the front may not have such good Feng Shui as the buildings behind, which are being protected by that. But I would say that human enterprise, especially in regards to business, has a lot of impact. And when we do business Feng Shui, we can go into a site and we can look at a building and we can say, well, whether it's going to be good or not. And we can find the best Feng Shui site for people to have their business, but if they don't run their business well, they can easily go broke. And whether they have good Feng Shui or not, they can still suffer badly if they don't manage their business well, and that's just the way it is. Yeah. So this one is in Shanghai. This is the Bund in Shanghai, and this is the river, the Pearl River, and I think the Pearl River comes from this direction, inland, and this was a piece of land that was given to the foreigners by the Chinese because they said it's a worthless piece of land, we'll give it to the foreigners and they can do with it what they want in Shanghai. And it ended up being the most productive commercial area of the whole of Shanghai, and it's still these days famous. And I would say, even though it's outside the curve, and, one of the reasons why it's bad outside the curve is because it looks like any time the river could flood and just, take over here and occupy the land. So it may have been a flood plain at the time too. But they said, well, the foreigners can have that area. And they made the most of it. And so enterprise can have a lot to do with increasing our chances of having good Feng Shui as well. So even though water is not classified as a type of water, well, I do classify it as a type of water. I call it water, which, doesn't really make sense, but anyway. So water is a wavy shape. And when a river is shaped like water, it is the most auspicious shape because it is the true nature of water. And Master Zhang's classic says that if a water is flowing away from the site and looking back as if it doesn't want to leave, then it will send smiles and love back to the site. Something like that. Smiles and love. Yeah. Because water represents love as well. In Feng Shui we know that. So here is Melbourne, and we can see how the Yarra River, Tyler showed it yesterday, very good example. The river is curving around, the city is there, and then it's curving away as if it doesn't want to leave. So, we like that type of water. It's a pity it's not a bit cleaner. Yeah, especially when it gets further down the river. Dirty water can equal dirty money. Pardon? And the sons are stupid. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think about that type of. What's he knowing about? So this reminded me of, I went on tour with Howard Choi last year to China, and we saw some fantastic sights. And one of the places we went to was the ancient walled city of Pingyao, which is one of the only, I think maybe the only walled city left in original condition in China. And it was absolutely amazing. And this is the Confucian temple in Pingyao. They actually have a Confucian temple, a Taoist temple, and a Buddhist temple all there. Now, the Confucian temple is the one where they would go to in the old days to sit for the imperial examination. And so naturally, the Confucian temple, actually, I think it is this building or the one at the back that has the place where they actually sit at little wooden desks writing for the imperial examination. Right? And in the museum is a lot of pictures and entries that famous people in history had made for the imperial examination, and a couple of beautiful pictures. I'll show you one of those in a moment. But what I was really interested in was this water feature here. You see, this is actually water waving from the temple along the sides. As you walk up the main path of the temple, either side you have water, the wavy water. Now, water also represents wisdom. And we know, like in Flying Stars, 1 and 4 combination is the academic success. So 4 is for study, and 1 is wisdom, 1 is water. And actually the study halls are at the side. So the study halls are at the side, on either side, where they would come and study and learn. And the children, I think, if I get this right, as they're growing up, the children would go to school here or do some sort of studies here at the side. But even as adults, they would come here too and do some studies for the imperial examination. And sometimes it would take years for a man to pass the imperial examination and get a position. Okay. Really? So soon? I know, it's gone so quickly. Okay, well, I'm going to go over a little bit. Okay, give me 10. All right. Okay, so here is he at the imperial examination having his examination, and that is what the water feature looks like. Wood water is a straight shape of water, and there we see it comes and it hits the site. Now, if you have a water star 9, my theory is that in period 9 that's going to be good. But we'll wait and see. Okay. Here is Chinatown in Melbourne. It's a straight road, and when I did some work for Chinatown in Melbourne, I said they need to do things along the way to help slow the chi down, because it's wood water basically. It's a straight road. Here is my shop, and I'll show you a case study now, just so to lighten things up a bit. Then our shop is a north-facing shop. And you can see, according to the Flying Stars, this is the chart for our shop. And look, for any business, you want to have good Feng Shui, of course. Well, in period 7, we had the water star 7 at the front door. And when we moved into period 8, we did notice a difference in the business. However, we're very lucky because we do have at the back door the water star 8 as well. So number 7 in the Flying Stars, number 7 is was the ruling star up until 2004, but it also is good for metaphysics. So even at home, I sit on the Mountain Star 4 as well. It's good for speech, it's good for communication, it's good for telling people to do things differently. It's good for metaphysics, because in metaphysics, we're actually consultants. We go and tell people to do things differently. So that's a little bit about the chart for my place. won't go on any for. So if you have the prominent water star in a good place, it can bring the qi in. So a lot of period 7 businesses facing north have not done so well now in period 8. I've seen quite a few restaurants facing north. The thing about a restaurant is that most of the business end of the business is at the back in the kitchen, and if that's in the south where the water star 8 is, there's still a lot of activity going there, and then they're bringing the food through to the front. So one of the restaurants, I said, move the cash register to the back of the restaurant as well, so that they're bringing the food from the water star 8, and then when people pay, they're going to the water star 8 to make their payments. Now, too much romance. We know about the 1 and 4 accommodation. This is a client who actually put a water feature, her husband and wife, very happy family, put a water feature into the corner of the house. It's only a small water feature, actually. And it's got wood and it's got water, just something small. But he nurtured it, he looked after it, he activated it. And within 3 months, he ran off with his secretary. For me, it's funny. Sorry if my client ever sees this.
Have we got that in our home?
No. I haven't activated that one. Although, you know, go and try.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Pat.
So here's Water Star 5. This is one of my students, Water Star 5. And when she became my student, then she finally learned what Water Star 5 really meant. So even though I'd explained it to her as a client, she still didn't understand. So when I said to her, Water Star 5 is on your swimming pool, she finally understood. And it took her a number of years because she said, you know, life in our house has always had a lot of ups and downs, you know. Such a big water feature activating the Water Star 5. Eventually, when they got the money together, they did a renovation of the house. I said, the only thing you can do is to fill in the swimming pool, which they did. They filled in the swimming pool. They also renovated the house, so at the same time they changed the chart. So we can't say 100% that they actually got rid of the Water Star 5 because of that reason, because they changed the chart at the same time too. But after they got rid of I think they did the pool first, and they got rid of the pool, that helped them to get the money together to build the new house, renovate. So Water Star 5, we know we don't like to activate it with water. So what is water and where's a water mouth? Now, George was talking about that yesterday. Where's a water mouth? Now, a water mouth is called shuiko. Shui is the Chinese word for water, of course. But it's also the source of qi. Now, we say a front door, a door is a qi mouth. And that's where the qi enters the house. But it can also be that the water mouth is called the qiko as well. And I saw this when I went to a village in China with the tour last year, the Black Dragon Temple in Chico in Shaanxi province. You can actually look it up on the internet, and the previous one as well, Pingyao and Chico. They're both in the same area of Shaanxi province in China. And this Black Dragon Temple is facing towards a water mouth, and they call the whole village is called Chico Village. Now, when you go and look in China and see some of the old places, you think, well, they haven't really explained why is it called Chico? You know, because in China these days, they don't talk about or acknowledge the Feng Shui aspects of it. So they don't say it's called Chico because it's at the confluence of 2 rivers. They said, they don't even really say why it's called Chico, and I'm reading on the things, you know, why is it called Chico? So we have to, from our knowledge, we have to discern some of these things. So this is the temple, the facing of the temple. Now, when we're taking the facing, you know, I tried to get an accurate facing of the temple. So I went right inside, actually, where right up here is interesting because this is where I took the photo, that's the next photo. Up here, they actually have Chinese opera, and the opera that they do is for the water dragon. So they have, at the back of the stage, the people would stand in the middle where there's a courtyard in the middle. The people are in this stage here facing uphill, and then the sound travels through this window, which is just an open window, like no glass, towards the water mouth. So as you look closer in towards the water mouth, you see the water mouth is here. Now between us, there was me from Australia, but there's a lot of other Feng Shui masters from other countries. And we're having a debate of where the actual water mouth is. And a lot of people were saying it was here, the water mouth, because that's where this river meets with this river. But as you can see, the way that they've angled the temple, the water mouth is really more here. So I tried to get an image of that, and the image, it sort of worked out. Oh, hang on, where's my video? It's skipped past the video. Should be just the next one. Just click once. No, oh, it doesn't matter. I took a video and I was looking at the site and then took a video going like this, trying to work out where exactly is the facing. And I ended up with this image so that we can see here is the river, the side river, and here is the major river. Now this is why they call it Chico, is because in the old days it was a very, very prosperous place because everybody carried their goods by water. So this was a centre of trade, and they had a lot of businesses and things there. But as soon as they introduced the railway, then towns like this became obsolete. Hard to get to as well. The bus couldn't get there. So this is a better image of that. And you can see that the water mouth is here. One water mouth here, but there's actually another water mouth here. So it's like a double water mouth, and where the river meets the Yellow River, the famous Yellow River, and everybody sort of has to make a pilgrimage there at some stage in their life. Yeah. It's an amazing place. All right, so when the water comes out and the water goes in, that's an important location. So here is a water mouth, and here is a water mouth, and here is where the entry point of water is. It's where the water is, that's where it's where the water is coming out and we can see it, right? And here's where it's going away. This is a spot in Queenstown again, and for a lot of water methods, it must be water passing the hall. So it has to pass the Ming Tan. And then flow away. That's for some of the water methods. So when we use the water methods, hands up who uses a low pan when you do a consultation. Yep. Well, more of you should be using low pans because you need to show your client that you know what you're talking about. So here is a Sanhe low pan. Now, for water methods, we use the tian pan. We don't use the D pan. So when we use a low pan, we use the 24 mountains rings. That's the ring we use for flying stars. But then when we use for water methods, we use what's called the tian pan. And the tian pan is the D pan rotated 7.5 degrees clockwise. So the tian pan is this one. Yeah, that's a tian pan, and you see it's just the earth plate, the 24 mountains ring, rotated 7.5 degrees clockwise, and I'll show you how that works. So when we're using it, now this technique, Shen Tian Ho Tian water, is in a way, it's a bit like the Bagua Feng Shui of water methods because it's very basic, very simple, but it's easy to understand. And it's a good introduction to learning about water methods. And if you're interested in learning more about it, send me an email and I'll send you the instructions of how to do it. So, we have two Baguas. We have the Ho Tian Bagua and the Shen Tian Bagua. Now, I use the English words. The Shen Tian Bagua is the former heaven Bagua, and the Ho Tian Bagua is the later heaven Bagua. The later heaven, former heaven is not the correct translation, but that's what we use. Right? Okay, so here is our Shen Tian and Ho Tian Baguas together. And here is one of the techniques, Shen Tian Ho Tian water. If Shen Tian water comes from a good direction and comes past the hall, it is very good for the health and relationships of the people. So you see here is the water mouth that you can see from the door coming in. The house, and this is where we understand from 8 House School, the house is in the Ho Tian Bagua, the house is a Khan house. It's facing south, so it's a Khan house. And so we go to the Shen Tian Bagua and we look for Khan. And we see that Khan is at the entry place of the water mouth, and then it's coming across and it's coming past the hall and it's exiting in that direction. So we call that Shen Tian water coming to face the hall. And that is good for the health and relationships of the people. Then we have, if it's going away, we have the opposite. This is the house facing northeast, and we have, okay, there's our diagram. So we have the house is a gun house. It's sitting in the north. It's a kun house sitting in the southwest and facing northeast. So because here we're talking about the Hotian Bagua tells us what type of house it is, right? So it's a kun house, and so then we look at where the water mouth is. We see the water mouth is going away at the Khan Palace. In this case, and I'll explain it more to you in the diagram that I send you, it is water flowing away. So we say ruining the Shen-tian water. You see here, it's sitting on kun, and then it's flowing away at kun. So if it's flowing away in the Shen-tian Bagua at kun, it's bad for the health and relationships of the people. So if you have, sometimes you might have this situation. It could be a road too, flowing away. So Hotian water, Hotian is the later heaven sequence. That's the more yang sequence that we use. So it's related to wealth. So Hotian water coming to face the hall. Here we have Hotian water, the house. Now, keep going. Yeah, the house is northwest, southeast. The house is a xian house sitting in the southeast facing northwest, right? So, okay, this is the opposite way around. Yeah, so this is, when we talk about Hotian, we're looking at the Shen-tian Bagua. So it's sitting on this trigram here, which is the Zhan trigram. So the house is sitting on Zhan, and it's a northwest facing house. And then see the water is coming from the Zhan direction in the Hotian Bagua. So it's coming past the house and facing the hall. We call that Hotian water coming to face the hall. It's very good for wealth, for the wealth of the household. And here's another one like that too. Oh no, this is the opposite, of course, ruining the Hotian water. Well, this one is floating away, and you know, it's actually not such a good example because you can't see the water from the door. Yeah? But I use this as an example for this particular case. And it's where the water is flowing away. Oops. Anyway, so some of you may have studied Naja, and I'm not going to go into that at all. Naja is a way of assigning the 24 mountains to a trigram. So we have 24 mountains and we have a trigram, and that's how we ascertain some of the more advanced water methods. So 24 Shan Na Gua. And, well, some of these is George's area of expertise, but Shui Long Fang Gua is the 9-star water method that he mentioned yesterday. And it's about changing the images of the trigram to get a new picture. And when you get a new picture, you get a new set of implications for a property. So it's all about the trigram. So I'm just breezing over this to give you an understanding of what we're talking about. So each of the 9 stars has a different character and a different personality. We know that it's from the Dipper, but we can't even see the Dipper in the southern hemisphere, but there you go. It's from that. And so we have our 9 stars, but as George was saying, we put 2 together because because number 5 is in the centre, so it is not assigned to a trigram. Right? And then, well, we have different types of water that can be located on a property. Now this is my shop again, and we can see the house is facing 355 or so degrees, and the water mouth is over here. So when we use the water methods, we always rotate. If I'm using like the normal, see, we're facing 355, so we're using the Z mountain. So we're facing north 2. In the Z mountain, but then when we use water methods, we have to rotate the Dipan 7.5 degrees to locate the water mouth. So here we have, so you see Z is now here. It's not at the facing anymore because we've rotated it 7.5 degrees. So actually the water mouth is at Gui. See that? So we measure it at Gui. And then from that, we get a reading, which is, well, in our case, it was Fu Bi water. And Fu Bi water means stability. So that's all right, stable business. You know, we're happy with that. This one is Pojun water. It's an office and a bank. And you can see that's the income, the water exposed and the water going away, opposite to this bank. So these are the diagrams for that, and you can see we're facing, this one building is facing Gui. As the water comes in and becomes visible, it's called Pojun water. Pojun water is a destructive kind of water, unethical and destructive. As the water is going away, it's stubborn and unwise. So in relation to that business, it's actually not very good, is it? You know? So we see from the water methods. So their flying star chart may be good, but they may not be able to take full advantage of the flying stars because the water features are not well placed. Okay, so Sanhe water method. This is a Sanhe ring. You see that it's got different colours, but it's basically exactly the same as the San Yuan ring, the 24 mountains ring. It's all right, we're going to go over a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so post-horse water. I can send this to you later as well, so you can learn about this one. And this is fairly easy to use as well. If your house is facing Shenzi or Chen, then if you have water at Yin, then it will bring fame and fortune for travellers, because the horse is all about travellers. So if your house is facing Shen, Zi or Chen, and you have water at Yin, then it's good for travellers, and I'll show you what I mean. So the house is facing south, it's facing Wu. So if it's facing Wu, then we have to rotate the Dipan. Water from the Shen direction is post-horse water. So for this particular house facing south, if you have, once we've rotated the Dipan 7.5 degrees, we see water is at the Shen direction. This is very good for travelling. I like travelling. It's not my house. This one is peach blossom water. Peach blossom, well, peach blossom always sounds good, but peach blossom Shah water is peach blossom Shah where it's not beautiful anymore, it's about sex scandal, right, and loss of money due to some woman or man that we're investing too much money in who takes advantage of us. So this is Shenzi and Chen. Instead of it being, oops, I'll go back a bit. Instead of it being Shenzi or Chen at the previous one now, Shenzi and Chen is at Yao. So if you have water at Yao, we say that it is sex scandal and loss of money. So let's have a look. Peach blossom water. Okay. And you may have heard about these too from other people. You know. But I will give you the diagrams if you send me an email. Okay. So peach blossom water, the house is facing Wu. And then once we rotate the Dipan, we get the water from the Mao direction. If there's water in this direction compared to the facing, then it brings sex scandal to the household. So sometimes we wonder, how did that happen? Especially if they've got a 1 and 4 and they put a water feature there as well. Okay. So there's so many. This is a template just showing the different water methods. All of the templates and all of the things that we use on the Lopan is really just designed to help us with our memory. You know, we have the 24 mountains ring. It helps us to remind us when instead of looking on a book at the formula, we look at the Lopan and it shows us what the formula is. So all the formulas that we learn are written in the Lopan too. This is a Lopan that I use in my Lopan making workshop. If you come to my Lopan making workshop, you'll learn to make one of these. Yeah. So, different types of water methods, and some of them are useful, some of them aren't. You know, the hardest part is working out which ones are the useful ones and which ones are not to be used. You know. So everyone talks about different types of water. Gail mentioned Basha, Huangshan yesterday, the eight different types of water, and we can say that sometimes they're good, but most of them were actually used for yin house feng shui. Yeah. So there's just a few drawings from Master Zhang's Water Dragon Classic. You've seen these before. And now, just to finish off, on your tables, everybody has a little fish in a packet. So I'd like you to take that out, please. Now, there's a very famous saying in China. It says, "May your wallet be full of fish." So seeing as the theme is about water methods and water, may your wallet be full of fish. Now, if you take out the little fish and put it in your hand, it will tell you how excited you are excitable to the opposite sex you are. If it curls up, it means that you're very sensual. So thank you, everybody.